quick. So let's get into Gator defense. So there's a lot of talk that Gator D sucked, and I was getting frustrated last night. And I was really, again, I want to go back and kind of watch the tape a little bit and see what was being missed. I think as fans, we're getting frustrated. I made even the joke last night. I said, "Who let Todd Grantham into the building?" Because I was hot. It was very frustrating that it looked like they were just marching down the field. But I think we're not giving enough credit to Utah's play calling yesterday, and not enough credit to Cam Sinking and those tight ends. It looked like I felt Brenton Cox got back there a lot, but when he would get back there, Cam Rising would step into the pocket and dump it off, right? So it's like the guys were not. It wasn't a lack of effort. It wasn't a lack of them being, aggressive. It was just wrong place, wrong time at certain occasions. And we can't look. Utah's still a good football team. Like for us to be like, oh, we sucked. Like they were ranked 7th in the country. We weren't ranked. Like what did you guys want? A 24-0 blowout? Like that's not what was going to happen. It was hard for us to say, hey, how are the DBs? Because they didn't throw a lot of the ball to the wide receivers. Honestly, Cam Rising wasn't that impressive to me when he was trying to get the ball to the wide receivers. Dump into the tight ends and let them do magic. Yeah, that worked every single time. Their tight ends are massive. We were definitely undersized with our linebackers against their tight ends. I felt that when we were man-to-man, that's when they would eat us up with the tight ends. When we were in zone, I felt like we were in the zone at the wrong time, and they would run the ball down our throats. Right, we would call the zone to be prepared for the tight end situation. They would run it. We would call man to get ready for the running. It was they were playing chess better than we were on defense. That's how it felt. I don't feel like it was a lack of guys not being in the right place. Again, lack of effort. I think Dexter did well. I think Ventrell Miller hit well. Few missed tackles. That's going to be the factor. It needs improvement. I'm not saying that either. They're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But I'm glad to see that. Look, if there's a weakness for Florida football, the defense is the weak side for now from what I can see, but I think the upside on the defense looks really good. I feel comfortable with it. Now, that's going to be an issue still on that side of the ball, but I'm not concerned right now. We need to get through Kentucky. We get through Kentucky, I'll feel a lot better. Go ahead, Steve.
No, just to your point about depth, it looked like you guys came out of that game relatively unscathed. You didn't have anybody that came, that went out with any injuries.
Sure.
Anything that looked major. Obviously, you're going to have some cramping on both sides. But it looked like your defense came out healthy, and that's big for going into a Kentucky team that likes to play a multiple offense. The other thing I'll say about Utah is they used a lot of motion. They would put 2 tight ends. They would put one on each side, and then they would shift them to make a very, very strong side with a back on the weak side. And look at that. All that accounted for the defense having to make adjustments on the fly. And Utah ran a very, very fast-paced offense. So they would get their base offense out there. They would show you one thing. They would shift into something else. And be able to really give you just a whole different look of an offense and just a couple of folks moving from one side of the line to the other. And that's tough for a defense, especially in their first game. Now, look, you had home field advantage, but the tight ends they're talented. They were going to be talented the whole time. You knew that. Rising, to your point, I want to say his longest pass. Sorry.
Thank you.
His longest pass, I don't think was more than 30 yards, to be completely honest with you. 37 yards was his longest pass.
Yeah, he wasn't throwing any big zingers. That's what I'm saying. For us to say, hey, the safeties and cornerbacks, it was hard for me to get a good feel on them. And I felt like even defensively, we kind of played on our heels a little bit, very, very conservative. New member, Justin, welcome to the family, my man. Thank you for earning your wings and becoming a pigskin.
Appreciate that, baby.
Ted C just got, I think, like a... Go ahead, Bubba.
Who is number 21 on your
I was just about to say that. Desmond Watson. I've
never heard of that guy before, but
the guy
was just in
huge.
The way of everything.
Huge.
He didn't make a ton of tackles, but you had to literally account for the fact that even if you're going to run up the A gap or the B gap, that he's taking up both of those gaps.
He's a big boy, bro. So I think
he's
going to need some development too, because look, when he first got in there, I mean, the guy was eating, literally just eating. And once he got a little bit tired, obviously that kind of came into play. But the guy's like 400 pounds. I want his jersey. I want actual size jersey. I want that thing. Like whatever we
You
got to
could fit
do,
two of you in that.
whatever we got to do to get that, to hand that thing out. I want that thing. Okay, let's figure out what we can do. I'll wear it forever. I want that game-worn jersey. That thing is worth more than any other jersey on that football field. That thing, I want that thing. All right, but yeah. So people were already talking about it when Big Dez came in there. The guy is a beast. I saw him. I was like, what in heavens is that thing? Like, that boy is ready to eat, baby. I love it, and he's a sophomore, which is even more exciting. Real quick, we got some super chats. We got some members coming in. I want to make sure. Justin, again, thank you, Bubba, for becoming a member. Ted C, 2 months of membership. Ted C, we met yesterday. Says Red Zone D, Utah 4 trips equals 6 points. Let's go D. That is something that's being overlooked. Is the red zone was phenomenal. Utah would drive all the way down the field and then kind of hit the brakes.
Couldn't get in.
So that, again, we're kind of roasting the D a little bit, and I'm gonna get into that with the clock management because I know there was a lot of people freaking out. I for one was roasting Billy on this, and I'll get into. I'm a very emotional football watcher, okay, and it's like you guys think a roller coaster is a roller coaster. I create a new type of roller coaster through emotions. I think you guys can already see that it gets buck nasty on this channel. That I'm just absolutely out of control. Good thing we won. I don't even know if I would have been able to do the show today if we didn't. But real quick, Mr. Nobody Super Chat says defensive line is my biggest concern at the moment. Look, it's definitely a concern, but there's always, look, even Billy said it. Look, we got some things we got to work on. It's game one. We knew that we were going to have these things to work on. And again, and we did the snaps, right? We talked with David Soderquist on this. The snap count, defensive line, you and I talked about it, Steve. We thought we gave the point to D-line based on, again, historical data, right? Nothing else. And this is where Utah's like, you guys are talking about, look, we're just going off what we can see on paper. And so that's where I was a little, taken back. I was like, look, we should be more experienced. I was screaming at the TV. It was like, we don't look more experienced. And that's where I was getting frustrated.